we making with anaerobic respiration? It's only those two from glycolysis. So anaerobic respiration only makes 2 ATP total. Aerobic respiration makes 36 ATP total. So obviously we get most of our energy that we use from aerobic respiration. So the first one that we did the demonstration with is lactic acid fermentation. And that's when, like we said, when you exert yourself physically and your muscles can't get enough oxygen as fast as they need to produce ATP to continue to do that activity. That's why we saw a big drop off from 35 to 34, and then it went lower and lower until we got to what, 18 I think we can only do after the 6th or 7th trial. It's because we don't have enough oxygen to be able to contract our muscles as much, and when that lactic acid builds up, it's actually there for your body to know that I can't do any more work. So that lactic acid and that burning sensation is there for a reason. It's protecting your body so that you don't do any more because there's not enough oxygen present. So your body converts the pyruvate into lactic acid, and that's what causes your muscles to burn and to cramp. Okay, so the pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound, so that's why I put the 3C there, and lactic acid is also a 3-carbon compound. So you can see on the reactant side and the product side there's both 3 carbons, so it's balanced. Ethanol fermentation is a little different, but it's similar to lactic acid fermentation, but what kind of cells does it occur in? I mentioned it before, I don't know if anyone got it. Yeast cells, exactly. So it occurs in yeast cells. Whereas lactic acid fermentation occurs where? John? Muscle cells, exactly. Okay, so it's the same thing, except these pyruvate are converted into ethanol, which is a 2-carbon compound, and CO2 is also released. So that's where we get the 3rd carbon, and we get 3 carbons on each side of the equation. So ethanol fermentation is actually important in industries such as the baking industry and the alcohol industry. So they're used to make wine and beer, and also in baking. So you don't need to know the details about why they're useful, just how it's used, how ethanol fermentation is used. Just know that it's useful in baking bread and in making wine and stuff like that. So now we're going to look at the overall summary of cellular respiration. So we start off with glucose. We have glucose that we get from either the plants get it from photosynthesis, or we get it from the food we eat, the carbohydrates that are broken down into the simple sugar glucose. Now this glucose goes through glycolysis to make 2 pyruvate molecules. This should actually be 2 pyruvate, and we get 2 ATP created from that we can use as energy. Now from this stage, the pyruvate will either go to anaerobic respiration or it will go to aerobic respiration, depending on whether or not there's oxygen. Right? So if there is no oxygen, it will go into anaerobic respiration, and we get the formation of ethanol in yeast cells or lactic acid in muscle cells. If we make the pyruvate and there is oxygen present, we go into aerobic respiration and we make an additional 34 ATP, which is a lot more energy, and we produce carbon dioxide and water. So I'm just going to ask you guys some quick questions. So from glucose in glycolysis to make pyruvate, where does that occur? Is it in the mitochondrion or in the cytoplasm? Mitochondrion? Are you sure about that? No, that's wrong.
Cytoplasm.
It's in the cytoplasm, exactly. So the first stage occurs in the cytoplasm, and anaerobic respiration also occurs in the cytoplasm. In the mitochondria is where aerobic respiration occurs, and that's where most of the ATP is made. Remember, the mitochondria is the powerhouse, so remember that. The powerhouse is where most of the ATP is made, So this must occur in the powerhouse of the cell, which is the mitochondria, because we're making so many ATP. Is that clear?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. Now what I want you guys to do is you're going to work on the cellular respiration worksheet independently or with a classmate. And the homework for today is also written on the board there, page 82, number 1 to 10. So you guys can start working on that. I'll hand it out now. And I'll also be coming around to see if you guys have any questions and to see how you guys are doing. Okay class, so I was walking around seeing you guys doing work. It was excellent stuff. I've seen you guys are understanding the information, which is good. So now I need everyone to put their books away. All books away, all notes away. And I'm going to give you guys an exit card. So on your sheet of paper, you're just going to write out these 3 questions and your answers to them from whatever you remember. If you don't remember, it's fine, take a guess, just write something down. And the whole purpose of this is for me to know how much you guys learned in this lesson. So here are the questions. Number 1, where does glycolysis take place and where does oxidative respiration take place? Number 2, how many ATP are made in anaerobic respiration? How many ATP are made in aerobic respiration? And number 3 is, why can't we sprint at 100% effort for a long period of time? So these 3 questions, I need you to hand it in before you guys leave. Don't even think about taking off before this is in my hand. Other than that, have a good weekend and great class today.